A family doctor is seeing an 80-year-old patient for the first time. She tells him, "Since this is your first time here, I'd like to get a little history on you. Who's been your regular doctor up until now?" The man says, "I don't remember saying I've ever been to the doctor." The doctor is astonished. "What? You've never been to a doctor?" The man says, "Nope. I never needed one before." "That's remarkable," she says. "But there must be a family doctor somewhere. What about your father when he was alive? Who was the family doctor?" "I don't remember saying my father had passed away." "Oh, I'm sorry. Your father's still alive? He must be at least 100. "Yep. About that. And he's never been to the doctor either." She says, "Well, that's one impressive bloodline you have there. What an amazing family. But there's got to be a doctor in history somewhere. What about your grandfather when he was alive? Who was the family doctor?" "I don't remember saying my grandfather had passed away." "Oh, come on now, you must be kidding. Your grandfather is still alive. He'd have to be at least 120. "Yep, about that. And he's never been to the doctor either. But I think he's going to have to go soon. He's getting married next week." "What?" she says. "Oh, now surely you're joking. Getting married? Imagine being 120 years old and wanting to get married." The old man looks at her and says, "I don't remember saying he wanted to get married." An old lady really wanted to visit England, the home of her ancestors, before she died. So she went to the federal office and asked for a passport. "You must take the loyalty oath first," the passport clerk said. "Raise your right hand, please." The old gal raised her right hand. "Do you swear to defend the Constitution of the United States against all its enemies, domestic or foreign?" The sweet old face paled, and the voice trembled as she responded, "Well, I guess so, but will I have help or will I have to do it all by myself?" A couple goes out to dinner to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary. On the way home, she notices a tear in his eye and asks if he's getting sentimental because they're celebrating 50 wonderful years together. He replies, "No, I was thinking about the time before we got married. Your father threatened me with a shotgun and said he'd have me thrown in jail for 50 years if I didn't marry you. Tomorrow I would have been a free man." My husband retired, and for the first time in over 40 years, I had to think about preparing midday meals. Tired of it after several months, I said, "I married you for better or worse, but not for lunch." "Fair enough. From now on, I'll make my own," he replied. A few weeks later, he had to go downtown on business and invited me to join him afterward. "We could have lunch at that Chinese place we both like," he suggested. I happily agreed. At the restaurant the next day, we were seated, and the waiter came to take our order. My husband looked up, a twinkle in his eyes, and said, "Separate checks, please." 3 mischievous old grannies were sitting on a bench outside a nursing home, when an old grandpa walked by, and one of the old grandmas yelled out, saying, "We bet we can tell exactly how old you are." The old man said, "There is no way you can guess it, you old fools." One of the old grandmas said, "Sure, we can. Just drop your pants and undershorts and we can tell your exact age." Embarrassed just a little, but anxious to prove they couldn't do it, he dropped his drawers. The grandmas asked him to first turn around a couple of times and to jump up and down several times. Then they all piped up and said, "You're 87 years old." Standing with his pants down around his ankles, the old man asked, "How in the world did you guess?" Slapping their knees and grinning from ear to ear, the 3 old ladies happily yelled in unison, "We were at your birthday party yesterday." A retired man who volunteers to entertain patients in nursing homes and hospitals went to one local hospital in Brooklyn and took his portable keyboard along. He told some jokes and sang some funny songs at the patients' bedsides. When he finished, he said in farewell, "I hope you get better." One elderly gentleman replied, "I hope you get better too." A single woman who retired just a few months ago walked up to a little old man rocking in a chair on his porch in her neighborhood. "I couldn't help noticing how happy you look," she said. "What's your secret to a long, happy life?" "I smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day," he said. "I also drink a case of whiskey a week, eat fatty foods, and never exercise." "That's amazing," the woman said. "How old are you?" 26, he said. A retired couple had dinner at their friend's house, and after eating, the wives left the table and went to the kitchen. The 2 men were talking, and one said, "We've been going to a new restaurant, and it's really great. I'd recommend it very highly." The other man asked, "What's the name of the place?" The first man thought a while and finally said, "What are those flowers you send a woman you love? The ones with red petals and thorns?" "You must mean roses," he replied. "That's it," said the man. He yelled to his wife, "Rose, what's the name of the restaurant we like?" A couple celebrating their 50th anniversary had many well-wishers stop by to congratulate them. After all of their guests had left, the 2 settled into recliners. "Mother," the man said, "our marriage is tried and true." "What's that you say?" she asked. "You know I can't hear without my hearing aid." "I said our marriage is tried and true," he repulsed a little louder. A trio of old veterans were bragging about the heroic exploits of their ancestors one afternoon down at the VFW hall. "My great-grandfather, at age 13, one declared proudly, was a drummer boy at Shiloh. Mine, boasts another, went down with Custer at the Battle of Little Bighorn. I'm the only soldier in my family. Confess vet number 3. But if my great-grandfather were living today, he'd be the most famous man in the world." "Really? What did he do?" his friends wanted to know. "Nothing much. But he would be 165 years old." In the town, I have met one older woman. She told me, "If you give me 10 euros, I will pray for your black soul." I gave her the 10 euros, became suspicious, didn't believe her, and told her, "Okay, but pray for me right now, not in the evening." The woman has begun. "Guardian angel, please take care of my soul, forgive me all my sins, and give me everything I need in my life." I have asked her only, "For my money?" As my grandmother and I were walking towards the United Nations building in New York City, we came upon a street evangelist who was trying to get the attention of passers-by. He urged those near him to flee from the wrath to come. "I warn you," he roared, "that there will be weeping, wailing, and gnashing of teeth." An old woman in the crowd shouted snidely, "Sir, I have no teeth." "Lady," the evangelist retorted, "teeth will be provided."